YouTube? It's your boy Brian back at it again with a new one for you guys. Alright, you guys, today we got something real special. This right here in this box that I got right here that just came in the mail, we got a cold air intake system. Boom! First real performance mod that we're adding on to the Lexus. Now, shout out to JM Auto Racing. They're the ones that hooked us up with this. Now, if you want to pick up this part for your car, go and check out my link in the description. I left the Amazon link for you guys if you guys want to pick this up for your car specifically. Now, this specific model that I got for my car is specifically to the V6 Lexus IS. But yeah, we're going to be installing this on my car today. Now, a cold air intake has a lot of different benefits for your car. Now, the only downside for a cold air intake system on any car really is just the upfront cost. Unfortunately, these are very expensive compared to just buying the single filter that you reuse over and over again and have to buy every single time. So this particular system that we're installing on my car today is a high-end performance rated part. So this is on the pricier side. The highest end one would be this one. We're looking at about $400 to $500 depending on where you got it from. I got a great discount on this one. That's why I picked this up. And then on the cheaper side for an average car, you're looking at probably around $120 to $200, depending on your price point and how cheap you really want to go with the material. But yeah, today we're gonna go ahead and install this on the whip. All right, now Future Brian here, and I just want to come in and give you guys a quick heads up for the parts that you're actually going to need to get this installed. So you're going to need a 10 mil socket, a ratchet width extension, a Phillips head screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a 5/16 nut driver, pliers, and a 4mm Allen key. All right, so working on this part is fairly simple to replace. First thing we're going to do is remove the engine cover, which is just a bunch of small little clips. All right, you guys, so as soon as we take off the engine cover, this is what we're looking at. This right here, from here all the way down to here is our air box. This is what we're gonna be switching out. Most of it is simple screws. We gotta take off the mass airflow sensor in here. And then we have just from that pipe all the way down to here, which are a couple of, it looks like a 10 mil there, and a couple more bolts down at the bottom down there. So let's get to work on this. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is remove these two clamps that hold the main charge pipe. So there's one there, and the second one is down here. This is the first step we're gonna get done. I already loosened one. Let's go on and move to the next. Now, on most stock cars, the next step is actually to remove the crankcase line from the main piping here. But on my car, I actually did a small little modification recommended by RR Racing, and I added a little filter down there, if you can see it. That little filter down there is actually an aftermarket part because they actually don't recommend this flowing back into your intake system. So we're actually gonna close this off on the new one as well. But on your car, you will have to remove that next in the process. All right, the next step in the process for me would be to actually remove the stock air box itself. So we want to release all of the pins. There's one there, one there, one there, and one there. And we're gonna pull this up and out. Now, this is just a clip on the mass airflow filter. We're gonna have to reinstall this on the new one, but we can pull this out for now. We don't need this clip. We can put that to the side for right now. But this right here is gonna go on our old one. If you break this, you're gonna need a new one, so be careful with that, don't lose it. But as of right now, the rest of this body should be able to just pop right out, as you can see. So we'll pull it out one part at a time. But as you can see, this is extremely restrictive. So you got a filter there. This is the stock filter itself. So this is what your stock filter looks like. These have to be replaced every couple thousand miles. And this is the stock air box. So this sits underneath the filter. Cold air rushes in from here
into this box, it gets filtered and then goes into that intake in there. And as you can see, it's extremely dirty in there because it pulls cold air up front in here into that box. So the next thing we're gonna do is remove that 10 mil there and that 10 mil there, and I don't think there's any more after that, and that should give us that access to that box itself. It does look like the mass airflow sensor plug-in has a clip that's directly plugged into the box, but it should slide right out. If you don't have a trim removal tool at home, you just want something that's really, really thin to get in behind the little bracket in there. Now, on my specific car, I actually thought about getting the F-Sport intake directly from Lexus. This would have costed about the exact same as the one that I bought aftermarket. The only problem with the stock airbox is that it has F-Sport on the top. It looks exactly the same as this. It has F-Sport written across the top, and then the charge pipe is made out of aluminum, and it has F-Sport written at the top of it. Now, the only problem with that box is that there's absolutely nothing different aside from the fact that it removes this air filter here. This is a reusable, washable one that comes with it, and then this box in here actually has a larger hole that's drilled into the front of it to give it more intake sounds, but we're gonna get rid of this altogether. I wanted to keep an OEM Plus look, but this actually offers a little bit more performance, so at the same price I'd rather get the performance than to get the looks. So the next thing we want to remove is the actual charge pipe itself, which at this point should only be a couple more pieces from what it looks like. So it does look like we have a hardline tubing that runs directly up against it. We're going to want to unplug that little clip that's in there. Let's see if I can get that little plug right there in order to get this tubing off of there. And then after that, this should just pop right out. So as you can see, this right here is actually a silencer. So this actually stops you from getting the full noise experience because air rushes in here and then most of it gets sucked back out through here. At least most of the noise does. So that's what stops it from actually sounding as loud as it actually should be, because this is a big body V6. So right here, we have a side-by-side of what it looks like. This is the stock. This is gonna be the aftermarket charged pipe. So you can see, no longer has that silencer. It still has the exact same opening for the crankshaft oil line return, but we're actually gonna take this plug that I put on this one and put it on this one in order to preserve the performance, because we no longer need that plug. You wanna make sure that if you do get this mod, you get something that has a tight seal like this. That right back in there, and now that's plugged up. Now, I'm kind of curious to know if this is going to cause any type of turbulence inside of the pipe, because it's just a very small hole. Alright, so the next step is actually to take our mass airflow sensor. We're going to pull it off of this one, and we're going to reapply it onto our new charge pipe. Alright, so this is what the part looks like on my car. Now, it does look like the instructions state that I should actually use the screws that come with the aftermarket one. So it says it brings M4 screws inside of the bag here, but it should line up perfectly, because the center can only get Yeah, it does line up perfectly. The sensor only goes in one way, and it has pretty tight gaskets. There's only 2 screws that really fit into this, which are these 2 little small ones. So let's go ahead and get those installed. So instead of a Phillips like the old one, you're gonna need a flathead screwdriver. And you really can't screw this up because this only lines up one way on this bracket. So you wanna go ahead and get it lined up, and one in there. You wanna make sure you don't screw this up, because if you damage this sensor, the air intake into your car is not going to read correctly, and it'll mess up the air-fuel ratio inside the vehicle. Now, to get it correctly tightened, like on any other part on a vehicle or even a electronic, you tighten one side a little bit, then you tighten the other side a little bit, and you repeat until it's completely locked in place. Boom. And there you go. It should sit flush up against the metal. And then you can see it inside of the system there. So the air whooshes into there on this side, and it runs across the pipe back to the outlet on the other side. So the next thing we're going to want to do is attach this housing. This is what's going to separate the cold air from the outside that's coming in from the hot air that's sitting inside of your engine bay. A good aftermarket intake is going to have one of these either installed on the pipe itself, or if not, on a bracket like this by itself. All right, so this system does come with 2 rubber grommet that protects the inside of the car. One protects the up top up here. You want to get that installed there, and the other one goes on the inside here to protect that inside plastic trim down there. All right, now this is a modification that I've done before on my previous car, but on this one specifically, this is a build-it-yourself kit. At this price point, I kind of wasn't expecting this much self-assembly, especially for how big of a box this came in. So these gaskets that come on it don't sit properly. That's annoyance number 1. And technically, based off of how the pictures say that the gaskets are supposed to go, I don't feel like they're gonna sit correctly and protect anything. So I actually set them up backwards. So I put the longer strip on the bottom edge, along the bottom edge here, as you can see. So I put the longer strip along the bottom edge, and I put the short strip up at the top, closer to where the hood would be touching. And then right now we're installing this adapter into the housing. This sits in between the air filter over there and then the charge pipe. That's your direct connection. So let's get this installed. It looks like this kit's held on by 3 button screws. This uses the Allen keys in order to tighten these into place. So let's get that installed real quick. So it looks like you're gonna need a 5x32 Allen key for this specific one. Now on these, you wanna make sure that these are airtight due to the fact that you don't want any dust or particles to be able to get into your engine bay. Because if they do, you kind of defeat the purpose of having the air filter on there. It's like raw dogging the air. You just want to triple check, make sure that they're nice and tight, so there's no air gaps or air vacuums that can be created. All right, and filter itself goes on the inside. Goes on the inside in there. But we don't want to install this yet because we still have to seat the housing first. And then the charge pipe comes into there. Let's go get this settled in place with the 10 mil and secure it back to where the old housing was at. So yeah, so far, the worst thing about this kit is the amount of self-assembly that they make you do. The next thing that we're going to install is the filter itself. Now again, the great thing about these is that they're actually washable, so you can actually reuse these. So over time, this actually will become less and less expensive of an install, because whenever the light comes on, all we have to do is make sure to give this a nice little wash, and then we should be good to go again. So let's go ahead and get this dropped in real quick. Got it installed. Now the great thing about this, you want to make sure you give it a good tug to make sure it's really on there, because you don't want this falling off. This falls off and your engine is pretty much fucked, because by the time that you figure it out, it's going to be too late, I promise you. So please make sure that it's nice there, on there nice and tight. Yeah, this gasket's getting me annoyed. It's gonna destroy my OCD. But yeah, we got that installed. So that replaced our main air box. Now we just need our charge pipe and we will be good to go. Alright, but once we have everything installed, it should look something like this. It's literally just reverse order installation. The only thing that's going to be different on my car that's not going to be the same on yours, on most other cars, is that this connector is not going to go back into the pipe. I put the cap back onto this and I still have the filter on mine. If you go onto RR Racing's website, you can order this filter by itself for like $15 if you want to get that installed. But everything else should be a direct fit install. Now, you do want to keep in mind that there's two small clamping hoses that go on the smaller end, and then a medium and a large one that go on this end. But if you install it correctly, everything should sit correctly. Now we get to test it out and see what it sounds like. Rev it. Rev it. All right, let's see if we can get some audio of this new exhaust. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this really brings the car to life. This is a whole different car I'm driving at this point. Yeah, that naturally aspirated V6 sounds amazing right now. Yeah, oh, this was easily one of the better mods that I've done so far on this car. I haven't done too many, but this is easily one of my favorites so far. This makes the car feel alive. Holy shit. And this is the V6. I could imagine if you do a mod like this onto the V8 version, the IS500, oh my god, or the ISF with a mod like this. Oh man, this is amazing. We got some back roads. You could just send this. Fuck. Yeah, this mod's it. Oh, and for reference, I'm in Mexico right now, if anybody asks. Okay, let's open up the sunroof here so we can actually hear it a little bit better. Yeah, this sounds amazing. This sounds fucking amazing. Holy shit. Let's do a turnaround in this parking lot and go from there. Now, keep in mind that this mod, you could do it for cheaper. I opted for the more expensive option on this car. But there are cheaper options. So if you are thinking about making a mod like this, yeah, this is a whole different car. That one mod brought, oh, those shifts sound beautiful. Holy shit, this car came to life with that modification. The next thing I'm gonna probably fix is this sloppy play in the steering wheel. Because this is set up for more of a luxury feel, but I want more accurate and precise. Don't get me wrong, the steering on this car is nice and heavy. It doesn't feel like a boat, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a agile sports car, a sports sedan like the way that it claims to be. So that's probably gonna be our next mod on this. But let's take this back to the house so I can give you a brief rundown of how I feel about this mod in general. We got a bridge. I'm in second. Let's send it. All right, you guys, so it's the next day. Right now, I want to give you a quick rundown of my final thoughts on the install, what I thought about it, how much it cost, if you should do it, what are the benefits, what are the downsides to it, and all of that good stuff. So the first thing is we're going to start off with the cost. So this intake specifically, here's the part number from Takeda. This intake specifically ran me for a total of $414. Now it varied in price from about $414 to about $450 at the most expensive that I found it online. Now here's the thing, you can recoup some of that cost, that upfront cost on these parts. You can actually make some of that money back by reselling the parts that you took out and giving that up on eBay for about half of what retail for these parts of what they cost. So I'll give you the example. This entire setup for the intake, brand new from OEM, can run somebody up to about $600 to $700 if you were to buy it brand new from Lexus. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna post this on eBay and resell it for about $200. The after install report. Here's how I saw that install. It wasn't that difficult. On a difficulty rating, I'd give it probably a 2 out of 5 in terms of actually getting into it, because you have to remove a couple of clips that are deep in there. You do need a prying tool that most people don't have, but with a sharp knife you could probably get into that. Everything else is just standard equipment that you can find in any hardware store. In terms of noise, it makes the car sound alive. It's a whole different car. It makes the car much more enjoyable. Below 3,000 RPM, the car sounds OEM. It sounds like nothing is different under the hood. Once you pass about 3,000 to 4,000 RPM, that's when you start to hear those good fucking induction noises, and that's when the car comes alive. But in terms of the pros and the cons of actually installing this install yourself, in terms of pros, pro number one is the noise. It makes your car sound lively. It is a whole different car no matter what car you do this modification to, because the stock intakes that they put on a car are normally extremely restrictive. I'll actually show you what I mean by restrictive. So on this car specifically, this is where the cold air is supposed to come in through. This little opening right here. Now, it passes through this filter that sits up there. This is a pretty thick filter, as you can see. Then it passes through another filter here before going into the intake pipe. And the intake pipe has an opening right there that reduces the amount. As you can see, it reduces the amount of noise that actually goes into your intake. So this is actually right here, this is called the resonator. This is what kills the sound on the intake. Now, there are aftermarket mods for my car specifically that get rid of the resonator and just do a straight pipe directly into the engine from the housing, so you could only buy just the intake tube itself and remove the resonator, and that'll make it a little bit louder, but it won't give you all of the whooshing sounds that you're looking for in terms of performance. Now, another benefit that most people don't realize, removing all of those restrictions also increases your power output because you're getting more cold air into your engine, meaning that it actually takes less fuel to actually create an explosion inside of the chamber. The denser and the colder that the air that's going into your engine is, the more alive the throttle response is going to be in your car. That's another thing that's going to get improved as well. The off-the-line acceleration for your car also will see an improvement with a cold air intake, and then you'll also see a benefit in fuel economy as well. So this is literally a no-brainer. Over time, I recoup back $200 if I can get a person to buy this off me. These are not reusable. Now, you could buy reusable filters from Toyota. They make F-Sport reusable ones, but this specific one isn't reusable, and most people don't know that there are reusable ones that you can buy for your car. But if you weren't to go reusable, this would cost you $30 for every single time that you changed your air filter. So if we do the math in terms of fuel economy, the amount of times that you're going to change out your air filter, you're probably going to end right back up at that $400 that you're going to pay upfront now, but you're going to save it in the future. Now, the upfront cost might seem steep, but there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of different options. I went with literally the highest end part that I could find for my car specifically, just to show you guys what it would look like if you were to go this route. This was a lot of self-assembly. For a lot of the lower end parts, it's literally just one single piece. You move it, you switch it out, and you're good to go. So it really just depends with the option that you want to go with. This was my preference. This is what I went with. But again, it was because I was doing the math that I could recoup some of the costs by reselling this old intake system back to it. But yeah, 100%, this was a no-brainer of an install. I highly recommend everyone do this install. Go and search up what parts fit your car specifically. This process is going to repeat for most vehicles. This is not just for the IS300s or the Lexus in general. This is actually for most vehicles. The same process would apply as well. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a like, a share, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. If you guys like the content, I want to make more videos like this where I show you guys how to make some money back on expensive car parts, because sometimes the pricing is a little intimidating, but again, you can make some of that money back if you know what you're doing. But aside from that, you guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.